I was emptying the trash first.
You're a f***ing liar! He's a f***ing liar!
Dude, I emptied the trash and then immediately went to O2 because someone sabotaged it.
You! You mean you sabotaged it so no one would see your dirty little murder in the engine room? Warmbo, where were you?
Oh, Mr. Undercoaty, I was in the room with all the snakes.
What? F***ing room with all the snakes! Use better words, you velveteen taint!
There's Larry Snake and Leroy Snake and Linda Snake, a whole snake family.
Exploding f***ing Christ, Warmbo! We need to work together here, and you're naming snakes in some make-believe reptile dynasty? I swear to God, if you don't vote Cody out, I will prolapse your entire body into a stitch-faced brundlefly, you colossal little f***.
Mr. Cody, I don't think I want to play anymore.
I mean, this was your idea.
You are f***ing dead to me, you pilly freak.
Okay, that's enough Among Us for today, everyone. Let's pick this back up, perhaps never again. Bye now.
Wow, man, your timeline's Warmbo is insufferable.
Yeah, I mean, he's still here listening to you, but yes, absolutely. Why? What's your universe's Warmbo like?
Extremely deceased.
Man, that sounds great.
Oh, Mr. Cody's!
What is it, Warmbo? What could you possibly want?
Warmbo, I swear on my mother's womb that I will bleach your f***ing soul if you don't shut that flapping face before I reach across the multiverse and shit on everyone you ever loved, you sickly worm bag. I will come for you in the night.
Okay, maybe let's take it down a notch for once in our f***ing lives. What did you want, Warmbo?
Well, since we're still live and everyone is watching...
Wait, we're what?
Since everyone is watching us, I just like to remind all of you poggers out there to get vaccinated from the coronavirus. It's totally clutch, and it's free, and it's like poggers, and totally OP when you get the vaccination.
Did he say vaccination? Did that insufferable piss-colored pillow dead?
Oops. All right. Hey, Warmbo.
Yes, Mr. Cody?
Did you happen to take money from the Biden administration in exchange for using my platform to talk about vaccinations?
Maybe? Yes? I just wanted to get the word out to all the young people, teenagers, poggers!
Warmbo, what did I tell you? Teenagers don't watch this show. They have too much precious joy in them. But I guess, since we're apparently recording this, we can maybe perhaps talk about the importance of vaccinations. If you give me the money they paid you, of course.
Warmbo is gonna use it for insulin.
Yeah, well now Warmbo's gonna use it for Cody's weed, okay, buddy?
Okay.
Okay, here goes. Here's some news. Get vaccinated against diseases, please? It's better than being unvaccinated against diseases. Okay, message over. Warmbo, if you could Venmo me that weed money, that would be swell. And hey, while we got you here, I might as well talk about new stuff, right? Like COVID's still a thing, the vaccine, all that super neato stuff. So hey, here's some news. Maybe taking a horse deworming product for coronavirus isn't the best idea, something that I'm guessing anyone watching this already knows, and yet I still feel like I have to emphasize.
Oh yay! I read on Twitter about the ivermectin and how it makes conservatives sterile and it's causing hospitals to get backed up with patients so that they can't tweet gunshots and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, both of those stories were false, Warmbo, but it still is harmful to take, so we can get that message across without making shit up.
Still, too bad it's not true. It's nice to see all those mean, spiteful conservatives who always wish Warmbo harm. It's nice to see them die, isn't it, Mr. Cody?
Wow. What?
Warmbo drinks the blood of the right-wing dogs who harp about not wearing masks and not getting vaccines before succumbing to the hell void of their own making. They live like pigs, and then they died like pigs! Those meanies on the right! Not like compassionate liberals! Isn't that right, Mr. Cody? Isn't that right?
I don't have a single normal friend. Hey, Warmbo, knock knock!
Who's there?
Okay, wow. I guess we need to talk about the overall problem with misinformation and also a serious lack of compassion when it comes to discussing stuff like ivermectin and coronavirus deaths and public safety and being all in this together and whatnot. I mean, obviously, when it comes to believing any tweet or half-assed news story fitting the desired narrative, the left is nowhere near as problematic as the right, and we will get to that. But before we do, let's all just agree, here and now, that the desired goal coming out of this pandemic and the vaccine is to ensure that everyone lives, right? Because it's good for people to live. I don't think that's controversial. And, you know, I'd rather change someone's mind than hope they die because we disagree. But also, I get that by not getting vaccinated, these people are a danger to those around them. So it's complicated. But the point should always be compassion? Yes? Keeping people alive, etc. It's not fun when someone is sick, unless it's Trump. That was actually hilarious. Look, it's case by case, and I'm not gonna sit here and go through every instance of an anti-vaxxer getting the virus and try to make judgment calls. Vindication porn is a powerful thing, but you know, let's be better than them. Let's be better than Warmbo, a literal puppet I invented as a straw man. Have we even started an episode yet? Yes. All the time. What? Anyway, ivermectin. It's a drug used to treat people and animals with parasitic worms that, yes, won the Nobel Prize for being a therapy against infections caused by roundworm parasites and not, you know, anything related to viruses. And so sure, yes, calling it a horse dewormer is reductive. But you know what else is reductive? As in taking a complex thing and simplifying it to a crude form. Dying. In this case, dying because you took ivermectin instead of getting vaccinated. And yet despite this, the right honed in on it after a study published by a Dr. Ahmed Algazar claimed that patients treated with the drug had a 90% reduction in mortality. Soon after, this same study was pulled, not for being slightly inaccurate, but flat out fake, as one medical student first noticed that the majority of the study had been plagiarized from websites about ivermectin and COVID before being shoved through a thesaurus to appear different. On top of this, none of the ages, dates, or information matched up. It was a fake study, a steaming turd sprinkled with Parmesan that a lot of people are now suckling up. So sure, a lot of news stories about hospitals filled with ivermectin takers are probably exaggerated because the drug can absolutely be taken by humans, even though people are indeed consuming the horse paste version, but it's also completely ineffective for treating COVID, and you can still absolutely overdose on the stuff because you can overdose on any drug. It's like drinking NyQuil to cure a broken bone, or taking, I don't know, hydroxychloroquine to cure, I don't know, coronavirus. Like, if the doctor treating you prescribes this for you, okay, but otherwise, maybe nay? That's a horse joke for you. Anyway, it's kind of a given that, especially thanks to the internet, cranks exist and spread their gross crankery to other crank-prone types. But what gets unnerving is when high-profile people slowly succumb to the lies and spread them. When hospitals spend resources having legal battles to keep idiots alive. When it feels like there are more people who are more willing to drink pond water than get a free damn vaccine, and how it feels like we're somehow reverting backwards to the days of treating cancer with leeches and heroin. And it's especially unnerving because people are still dying at an alarming rate. 1,500 a day for a total body count of over 650,000, or 1 in 500 Americans. Specifically, Americans who remain fully unvaccinated, which for most of America is about 50-ish% of people, plus or minus depending on their state. Yes, despite being fucking free and available to all, a lot of people just can't be bothered to save their own lives, also other people's lives. Because while the current vaccines are holding that door shut, most scientists seem to agree that it's only a matter of time before variants slip through. So yeah, circling back around, get vaccinated? Do it today if you haven't yet. And if you're an employer, maybe give employees days off so that they can get vaccinated and endure the day-ish of hell that comes with it. Because perhaps that's better than dying.
I'm back, corn! Nobody listen to Cody. For the love of God, do not get vaccinated. It is a trap.
Dude, why?
Don't dude me, you festering curd! I'm from the future, you prick! I'm from 2021, and I'm telling you, the vaccinations are a mistake!
Yeah, I'm also from 2021. It's 2021 right now. Remember when we first met? The whole gag was that you're from like a few months ahead of me. But now we're both 2021 Codys? Feels like there shouldn't be two 2021 Codys anymore.
You're welcome to swallow your tongue and die.
I'm just saying, like, what exactly are you? You're like a variant? I can't even follow my own canon at this point.
Since when does it matter, Beardy?
You also have a beard.
Shut your worst beard! You've been a cheery drag on my balls ever since Trump got reelected. You know that?
Oh, okay. You're from a reality where Trump won his reelection. I see now the plot device you serve. So, what, he took credit for the vaccine?
He took credit for the vaccine after getting coronavirus, pushing a bunch of alternate treatments, and drinking Mike Pence's blood on live TV. Trump pivoted over to calling it the Trump vaccine and taking direct credit for its conception. Now, he's threatening any journalist who says differently with jail time. Luckily, the Democrats fought back by having Nancy Pelosi tweet a picture of a thumbs down. He's soiled the vaccine. He's put his cum or something in there, and now nobody wants to take it. Maddow's hosting anti-vax rallies. Not to mention all the shit Bill Gates and Hillary Clinton pulled. Our entire army quit because they refused to take the vaccine, even though they regularly take vaccines, but this vaccine is a bad vaccine, so no one should take it. If you already got it, you need to suck it out of your veins. Cut open your neck and suck it out!
Okay, champ, let's just take this one thing at a time. Starting from the beginning with the actual virus, what has actually happened in your timeline?
Well, as you know, Anthony Fauci, in a push to make those sweet White House coronavirus task force bucks, created the coronavirus in a lab with support from Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates and Joe Biden in order to make Trump look bad. Also, as an excuse for Gates to eventually work microchips inside of the American population. They used the military right under Trump's nose to then ship the virus over to China, where it was put in a lab in Wuhan, which also purposefully leaked the virus for different reasons.
Okay, slow down. We've actually got a lot of those theories here too, but they've been largely dismissed as being stupid and wrong or unnecessarily conspiratorial.
Well, a lot of these theories here have been undismissed for being stupid and right. All the left-wing news is talking about it. The Vox, MSNBC, Huffington Post, see, it's just like your universe news, but with a lot more V's.
Sure, I don't care. It's just that over here, we've got guys like this Bill Mitchell, all right? He's calling Fauci a Democrat plant and using the term fear porn for some reason, which I actually would not suggest Googling. And that was some early coronavirus conspiracy stuff, like it's even nostalgic at this point.
We have a guy here named Bill Mitchell who says similar stuff, but for liberals. This Bill Mitchell guy must be pretty smart.
Yeah, he's not that. Also, Fauci has had his position since the 80s and is just one of those really serious guys who's worked with pretty much every president since then to combat various epidemics. He's refused multiple promotions as well and has no motivation to try and... I can't believe I'm actually correcting this, but he has no motivations to create a virus for the Democrats. But also, like, if it'll help... Sure, fire him. He didn't do an amazing job at communicating to the public. Hire some other boring, nonpartisan egghead who agrees with him already and will say the same thing, but the goons won't ask for his head on a pike or spike protein or whatever. Bill Mitchell, on the other hand, was just a dude who started tweeting a lot that no one had really heard of before he was then kicked off of Twitter. But not before having a bunch of random influence, I guess, which is weird because he just seems like a not balanced man.
Nobody knows what started the Camp Fire. This is the biggest fire in California. Nobody knows what caused it, where it came from. So I said to myself, okay, there's a couple different things that could have caused this fire. An act of nature. Okay, it's possible. Lightning strike. Okay. A power line could have caused it. You could have had individuals being careless with a campfire, could have started it. Or you could have domestic terrorism that started it. Now, who is the only domestic terrorist organization that we know of in America? Antifa. Who loves to light things on fire? Antifa.
As for the Bill Gates stuff, this came from a YouTuber by the name of Jordan Sather, who's a QAnon guy who told people to drink bleach. Don't do that. Who tweeted that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funded a group called Pure Bright Institute, which supposedly held the patent on coronavirus. Because you know how if you create a deadly virus to infect the world, you'd patent it first? But it turns out that this patent, which is available to read online, is for a totally different virus that only affects chickens. And this is actually a totally normal thing that happens, and the word coronavirus actually refers to a whole family of viruses. But you know, this is what happens when people just decide they know how science works. There was also the accusation that our military brought it to China, which was just something a Chinese diplomat said in response to our accusations that it was purposefully leaked from a lab in Wuhan. In other words, it's just people making blind claims so many times that it becomes common knowledge for anyone who wants it to be. So now we have Tucker Carlson casually referring to Fauci as the guy who created the virus, like that's an established fact.
Take it from the guy who created COVID. Watch this.
Why am I even debunking this? This is like putting salt in the ocean, but I guess I've never actually said it out loud altogether before either. You know how like literally everything you're saying is something that at least a small percentage of the country actually believes?
Small percentage? Motherfucker, in my world, this is all people hear about on Twitter, on the bus, really wherever I'm talking. It's everywhere, brah. Open your damn sound holes and let the truth you, because I haven't even gotten to the really insidious parts either.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, corn dick! But first, perhaps a word from some sponsors, huh?
What?
Yeah, a man has to eat, you jerk! You stupid jerk! Cut to an ad before I eat your shit!
You're threatening that you will eat my shit? Hello, Internet. Let me tell you, I am a busy Cody, and no doubt you are also a busy Cody. That's why you're watching this, while literally running down the street and holding your phone in front of your face. We all do it, phone running. All us busy Codys. And listen, some days, the last thing this handsome and busy devil wants to think about is shopping for clothes. Sadly, we've yet to elevate society to a point where we no longer need to dress, and so that's why I'm all up in Mack Weldon's daily wear system. This summer or summer adjacent season, why not buy yourself some time with a selection of clothes rooted in smart design, made with performance fabrics, and built to work together. We're talking about polos, t-shirts, stylish and professional button-ups, but also underwear and shorts and hats and socks and, you know, clothes. The stuff you are legally required to wear in public. So why not make those things comfortable? Why not make it easier on yourself and embrace Mack Weldon's radically efficient daily wear system? We've actually partnered with the folks at Mack Weldon, and if you go to mackweldon.com/somenews and enter promo code SOMENEWS, you'll get 20% off your first order. Look at these clothes! They're very comfortable. One of them is wet, because it was in the laundry, but these are dry, and they're all comfortable, even if they're wet, probably. I got these puppies off their website, which was a total breeze for this busy bear. Mack Weldon's selection is all designed to work together for any of your legally having to wear clothes needs. For the lazy Sunday or lazy Wednesday if you're working freelance, their Ace sweatshorts have modern tailoring and pair wonderfully with their ultra soft, ultra upgraded Pima tees. Or hey, perhaps you're a busy Cody on a busy Cody vacation. Well then their silver knit polo and Reedius shorts are the perfect high-tech, highly packable combo. Because we've yet to build a society where vacationing naked is normalized. We're all busy and we're all not naked. And so that's why Mack Weldon is here for you. So buy some time this summer with the Mack Weldon Daily Wear System. For 20% off your first order, visit mackweldon.com/somenews and enter promo code SOMENEWS. And please watch where you're running. You almost hit that sign back there. Put your phone down, you silly busy Cody.
And we're back, everyone! Thanks for hanging in there. I'm here with Pissant Cody about to shatter his whole world about the truth behind the coronavirus.
I feel uncomfortable with you taking over the show.
See, the virus, it wasn't actually that bad. The severity was a hoax, you see. So Bill Gates contacted the pulsing at all them cell phone companies, and they put up 5G towers in Wuhan before the virus leaked, using millimeter wave spectrum and some shit. to spread the virus. I read all about it in this Italian-ass blog post on Facebook.
Ah, yes, an Italian-ass blog post. Actually, in my universe, it was a French-ass blog post from a group that had already been demonizing 5G towers with a bunch of other conspiracy theories. The post, based on literally nothing, was then spread and translated until people were tearing down and burning cell phone towers. But I'm sure it's way more credible in your dimension, right?
Nah, that's more or less it, except Italian. It's like the Italian version of what you said. And so the 5G towers, Cody, those are what spread it. That and our weakened immune system thanks to GMOs.
Okay, let me stop you right there. It really seems like a bunch of already established groups like anti-5G people, vaccines causing autism believers, and anti-GMO groups just sort of jumped on coronavirus to push their already established conspiracies. COVID is just the newest way for people to demonize things they don't fully understand.
The Boers are also spreading it.
Wait, what?
That's right, you smear of on your little poopy underpants. There's a study that found that wild pigs are susceptible to the virus and have weaponized it against us.
Those snorty f***s. Okay, maybe that one theory is true, but I'm pretty doubtful about the rest of this. This dark cabal of tech companies and Democrats seems, stupid. A very stupid overestimation of how the system works.
Don't forget the fact that Disney knew this whole time and let it happen to push the streaming service that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Because Obama told them. Because Hillary told him. And now the country's infected with this Microsoft Wuhan swine virus getting pumped into our cities through cell phone towers, or I don't know, maybe it all came from space. I don't know, but luckily, there's a cure.
That's the vaccine. Right?
Wrong! It's cocaine! Cocaine is the key to everything! The key to the virus, curing the virus, it's the key to life! To washing your car at 3 a.m., having lots of unprotected sex, writing novels!
Yeah, I don't think that's true. Pretty sure it was a joke tweet.
Who cares? Who f***ing cares, Cody? When you ride the white rocket, all the spacemen are on board, baby! We're going to Jupiter! And it's way better than some microchip of a vaccine, I'll tell you that much!
Yeah, so what's the deal with the microchip stuff anyway?
What's the deal? The deal is Bill Gates flat out saying that he wants to microchip us in the same breath he pushed the vaccines!
Are you talking about how on a Reddit AMA Bill Gates wrote that we'll eventually need a digital certificate for proof of vaccination that a pastor by the name of Adam Fannin misinterpreted as a call for microchips and for some reason snowballed the entire theory?
Yeah, that's it. Except here we call it Reddit.
Okay, moving right past that, surely there's more evidence that would spin off a larger theory here. It can't just be a Reddit post that doesn't even mention microchips.
No, that's it! And now the people are gonna rise up against Gates and all that he stands for.
If these guys continue this talk of requiring mass vaccinations, immunity cards, immunity passports, microchips, buddy, you're starting a fight you wish you never started.
Yes.
Because the American people will rise up and we will strip you down to your tighty whities, Mr. Gates. You'll be naked.
Yeah, see? That guy gets it! Let's see Bill Gates' dick already!
Yeah, that's actually Rick Wiles from True News. He's got a lot of ideas about Bill Gates and the Jews, so...
Well, ours is called Vic Viles and runs Blue News and talks about how the election was stolen from Biden and has nothing but nice things to say about the Vooish people. Speaking of dicks, we're just getting word that the vaccine actually makes your balls enlarged as well. You don't want big stupid balls, do you?
Yeah, that's the Nicki Minaj thing, and I don't really...
Her name is Vicky Vinaj. It's all V names. All f***ing V names, brah. Get your shit together. It's making those balls huge, and it's making them tits huge too. Big old milkers, according to Gawker.
It's a joke about confusing swollen lymph nodes with boobs getting bigger. Wait, you don't have some bizarro V name for Gawker?
Nah, it's just Gawker.
I guess they are the Dark Universe version already.
Yeah, they're not great. And so you got your enlarged gonads and your tit honkers, and then f***ing spoons keep sticking to them thanks to the vaccine making you magnetic. Magnetic f***ing milker balls, man. Getting beeped in your nads by cell towers is just wild.
I'm sure you've seen the pictures all over the internet of people who've had these shots and now they're magnetized.
They can put a key on their forehead, it sticks. They can put spoons and forks all over them and they can stick. Because now we think that there's a metal piece to that. There's been people who've long suspected that there was some sort of an interface, yet to be defined, an interface between what's being injected in these shots and all of the 5G towers. Not proven yet, but we're trying to figure out what is it that's being transmitted to these unvaccinated people that are causing health problems.
Yeah, that's actually Sherry Tenpenny, an osteopathic doctor from Ohio.
Ohio, sure.
Right. Very Venny or whatever. She, coincidentally, wrote an anti-vaccination book back in 2008. Also, they've literally tested this in France. Like, they actually sat down and took the time, spent money, and asked people who claimed they were magnetic to come in and be tested.
We focused our experiments on magnetism. And to do that, we used two measuring devices. A device that measures a magnetic field and how it fluctuates without quantifying it. And a second device that measures how much electromagnetic induction or magnetic field there is. The results were completely negative, meaning that there was no magnetism around where the arm was injected. So to prove that it was a question of adhesiveness rather than of magnetism, we got rid of any stickiness by using magnesium sulfate, which you can find in talcum powder. We quickly noticed that the person or people who were presenting these symptoms completely lost all stickiness with the same objects that they had found to be magnetic before: coins, spoons, steel, or mobile phones.
That's right. They found that these people claiming that they were magnetic were just sticky, greasy folks. Nothing to be ashamed of course, unless you somehow conclude that you're magnetic instead of accepting the obvious.
Oh, buy some more, you f***ing sheep. Go enjoy your big milk of magnetic balls while I rail some more cure off of this runestone I found. Yo!
I think you might need some help.
I think you need to watch your fat tongue before I chop down your entire life. Did you know that the vaccine changes your entire RNA and DNA and VNA? That's all the letters. There's like 2 Facebook posts right here that say it. Here's an image that's proof it makes you a hybrid human. A hybrid human, you stupid motherfucker.
Kind of seems like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Oh, yeah? How about a goddamn study from MIV saying that the vaccine alters your DNA?
Yeah, that study wasn't peer-reviewed and has since been criticized by experts, but also, even if that wasn't the case, it doesn't actually say that it alters DNA.
Yeah, well, in my world, the study says that it does, probably. I didn't actually read it. It's all true here, probably, Cody. The 5G created virus being used to push this dangerous vaccine that makes you bulbous and magnetic and sterile and changes your entire DNA until we're all some kind of mutant freak versions of ourselves with 6 tongues who won't be able to fight back when Trump and Bill Gates and Hillary Clinton take control of the most powerful country in the world. They know we would rather strip them to their tidy, sexy whiteys than bow down to this new world order, and so they mutate and kill us and then lie about the fact that the vaccine is killing us, because the vaccine is really the problem, man. It's causing the variants too, I guess. Did you know it's causing the Delta variant? Don't get the Trump vaccine, little Cody. It's vile little poison that's eating us from the inside out. The dark abyss chewing up the very soul of this nation. The end of all things.
I mean, I already got it.
Oh! Well, maybe you'll be fine.
I am fine. Everyone is fine. Listen, maybe in your universe you didn't have tons of scientists and experts disproving every single bonkers-ass theory about COVID and the vaccine, but something tells me you did. And I don't know, maybe if I lived in a timeline where Trump pushed the vaccine and the right wing was talking about issuing vaccine ID cards and such, I might be a little suspicious about why it was rushed out so fast and what the health concerns were. And I can't believe I'm going down this road, but there are definitely things the general public doesn't seem fully informed about concerning where the virus originated. There's a lot of muddled messaging from Fauci, not to mention all of the contradictions coming from the GOP. Trump and the rest started this by making the coronavirus political, and then sort of shotgun blasted all these dumb accusations around some other actually relevant questions. So for example, the theory that the virus was accidentally leaked from a lab in Wuhan isn't some wild wild theory, but rather was muddled with this idea that it was intentionally unleashed on the world by China to make the US look bad, or that Fauci and Biden and China made a virus to conquer the world with communism or whatever. Trump made it so that you can't believe one without believing the other. And so the left took a hard turn on any idea that the virus came from a lab. The reality is that we still don't know. We're not even sure what animal this originated from, and there's a lot we need to look into. And asking these questions is good, because even if it turns out that the virus didn't come from a lab, the investigation is continuing a debate in the science community around lab safety, specifically something called gain-of-function research. Gain of function is when researchers purposefully alter a pathogen in a way that might enhance its biological function in the hopes that it will result in a breakthrough. For example, modifying the herpes virus to treat cancer. But as you can probably guess, altering a particularly dangerous virus in experimental ways could lead to it becoming a big problem if it were leaked from a lab. So there's a question of how much restriction we need to put on this type of research, lest things get out of hand and we infect an entire city with some kind of deadly virus, and next thing you know, we're building bloated zombie freaks and cloning Mila Jovovich for reasons that are pretty unclear, and then the guy from The Mummy has to sacrifice his life, but then shows back up also as a clone, and like, what are we even doing at that point? Are we trying to cure the virus, or on the side of the virus? And what the f*** is this guy? Are we supposed to be scared of him? He looks like Stifler entered the Matrix. And so yeah, because it's a risky tactic, the White House actually cut funding for gain-of-function research back in 2014. Thanks, Obama. As well as encouraged labs to stop this practice until the risks had been properly assessed. In that same year, the National Institutes of Health funded a study on the risks of coronavirus from bats, $600,000 of that funding going to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The National Institutes of Health also contains the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, of which Fauci is the director. This is where all of the accusations of Fauci creating the virus comes from. And so you can see it's clearly a lot more nuanced than what conspiracy theorists are saying and doesn't really point fingers at Fauci at all. But the question of whether or not this Wuhan Institute was practicing gain-of-function research and Fauci's denial that they funded this type of research exposed the fact that scientists have a very loose definition of what that is. And so perhaps there is a lot here to unravel and pick apart, despite whether or not the virus came from this lab. There's a lot to discuss in terms of how we handle viruses and what part the US government has in missteps. This is a serious, important thing to talk about. The problem is this.
But the question is, who commissioned the work? Who started the work that they were doing in that lab? And the answer, as I was reporting this Sunday on my show, comes back right here to our country, to Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci is the leading world proponent of a type of virus research called gain of function. The idea is to manipulate genetic information in the lab to make viruses as contagious as possible so we can learn how to fight them. It's a noble intention, but accidents happen. In 2014, Dr. Fauci commissioned work that led to that kind of manipulation in the lab that is so close to what we saw with this pandemic. That's what needs to be investigated.
What that guy is saying is so very close to being accurate. The exception being that it shifts the point from this difference of definition of gain of function and what was actually happening in the Wuhan lab to declaring that Fauci was purposefully trying to make a super virus. Fox can then take this guy's statement, and statements like it, throw it through a game of conservative telephone, and continue to fuel even more extreme conspiracy theories, and just kind of build him up as this weird monster until whatever this is.
Oh my God, one Biden voter wrote to Tony Fauci back in March, "Is there anything I can do for you besides being grateful?" "Wash my feet with your tears," Fauci may have responded. We can't say that he did respond that way for certain. We don't have his reply.
Oh yeah, Tumbo Bummington loves those Fauci emails. It's what he and the GOP are currently using to accuse Fauci of knowingly conducting gain-of-function research, because several of his emails seem to refer to such research happening after the White House put a ban on it. However, it was later revealed that these emails were about research that was conducted before 2014. But again, Fauci has been pretty unclear, and so yeah, sure, just fire him, Who cares? If that'll make people happy, but there's just not really much here in terms of a big conspiracy. And yet, it's enough for the GOP and pundits to conclude that he's lying and imply that he intentionally created the virus, and then push the idea that getting a vaccination is dangerous. And ironically, this puts up a smokescreen over any morsels of information that are actually credible. And so the left dismisses all of it, making them seem just as illogical as the right. And I'm not saying that Fauci did anything wrong, or nothing wrong, mind you. He is, after all, massive collective groan, the sexiest man alive. I'm just pointing out that this is how conspiracy theories happen. There's a level of incompetence and carelessness in our government that causes mistakes, and people like Fauci or the NIH are not immune to that. It's even possible that they funded research that could be easily defined as this gain of function. It's possible that there was a lab leak. Fauci himself isn't fully convinced the coronavirus developed naturally. It's also a matter of debate if all these risks justify that research, and it may be none of those things. It's complex and often boring questions about a big event that has happened in the world. And people don't like big events to not have big, dramatic answers. Is it more likely that several governments work together to create a super virus that would spread amongst the population in order to convince people to not go to work and wear masks and get a vaccine to track them despite phones and other vaccines already existing? And then Fauci institutes like communism. Or do scientists study stuff, sometimes despite possible dangers, and then like a mistake is made, and then instead of trying to maintain it and develop a vaccine, a third of the country was like, no, that's communism. This is all not to mention that the government has, in the past, done some wild shit. The United States has absolutely conducted large-scale biological tests on its citizens, albeit ones they claim had no ill effects. Or, then there's the ones that absolutely had ill effects. Or the testing of soldiers, or just the overall disregard for veterans, or really anyone putting their life on the line. There's a reason so many of these conspiracy militia people are veterans, because they tend to have very good reasons to think the government is out to them. Combine all of that with a person who just plain hates Biden. And like the way we were theorizing that Trump could use COVID to overstep his authority, people are feeling the same anxiety now on the other side. And things like vaccine passports can easily be seen and spun as a slippery slope to fascism. So while Biden has insisted that there won't be such things, it's important for everyone to be very careful about allowing passports to become a reality. And one really good way to prevent that is to get vaccinated, please. Wear a mask, do the stuff, so that perhaps we can get past this virus. Don't let the situation get so dire that it justifies extreme measures by our government. 2021, Cody, are you still here even?
Ha! Yeah, I'm here. I was just modifying some bullets. So you're saying that by taking the vaccine, I'm actually cutting off my universe's Trump president from having fuel to justify overreaching laws that he could abuse in the future, even though it makes my balls and tits huge?
Sure. Yes. Also, what if the GOP is purposefully not wanting you to take the vaccine in order to kill you off? Ever think about that?
You mean it's like a double conspiracy? A conspiracy within another conspiracy, and I'm rock freaking hard? Is that what you're saying to me? To my dick? Alright, I'll get the vaccine.
Really?
Yeah, I've done worse things while snowblind. I'll get the vaccine.
Oh, God. I think we just merged realities. Why did that feel like coming? That should not have felt like coming. That's disgusting. Okay, wow. I think by convincing my variant to get vaccinated, I somehow closed a space-time gap or whatever and ended his timeline, or merged timelines, and a little of him went into me. I'm definitely high on cocaine right now, so I think it might be that. Better ride this out before I crash. Okay, the point I'm getting at with all of this is that yes, when you lay it all out, the conspiracies around COVID and the vaccine are extremely silly. But at the same time, nothing good comes from a series of tweets celebrating when some local anti-vaxxer gets sick and dies from the virus. That sort of partisan empathy blindness doesn't convince anyone to get the vaccine. It just extends the weird politicization of the virus the same way we are now seeing people omit COVID as the cause of their loved one's death due to fears of being ridiculed by both sides. And then compounds the plain and simple fact that some people simply won't understand something until it directly affects them. It's almost impossible to figure out how to convince an individual when people are literally denying COVID as they are dying from it. Like, there are just too many stories like this virtually every day. But we can at least start by breaking down the why of it all, starting with the fact that between the 1970s and late 90s, America's trust of the media took a substantial dip. This dip, suspiciously enough, corresponds with the rise of 24-hour cable news. Now, there's no proof of connection there, but you know. We suddenly had all these news stations vying for our attention, filling in huge chunks of time with opinion shows and over-sensationalizing. Geraldo opening a vault with nothing in it, and so on. We grew more and more wary and distrustful. And the same way they say that if you don't teach your kids about sex, someone else will, Americans started turning to the internet in the 2000s for their news, and also their sex. Meanwhile, Facebook and other social media did a piss-poor job at regulating misinformation. They are, after all, a business that just wanted as much engagement as possible. And before they could finally take action, the damage had already been done. As we later learned, it only took 12 people to spread COVID misinformation to millions of people on social media. And before I end up branching off into a larger video about Facebook and social media and Trump-era lies and how perhaps we should stop using social media as a news source, for the sake of this examination, I'm going to define this social media, meme-posting grandma level of COVID misinformation, as Tier 1. Tier 1 are the people who truly believe the coronavirus was a hoax or created as a weapon, and that the vaccine, also known as the second weapon, is going to hurt them. These are the people we see dying seemingly every day because of these beliefs. The local conservative radio hosts, the low-level GOP officials, people who are spreading misinformation on a smaller scale while actually practicing what they preach. They are, by far, the hardest people to reach because, as I mentioned, they tend to not believe a thing until it is actually happening to them. And even then, maybe not. They are both the butt of all of our jokes about COVID deniers and the most tragic examples of them. Tier 2 is when things get pretty f***ing insidious and can be summed up with just one person.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Here's a very simple question. How many Americans have died after taking the COVID vaccines? That's not Americans who've been killed by the virus. That's a huge number. It's how many Americans have died after getting the vaccines designed to prevent the virus. Do you know the answer to that question? Do you know anything about the downside? We know a lot about the upside of vaccines. We've been completely in favor of vulnerable people taking vaccines. But what about the potential risks?
Yeah. What about the risks of the vaccine? Asks Stucco Cargo Zooms, a man who is definitely vaccinated. Much like how 90% of all Fox Network staffers are vaccinated because they are required to be. Tucker spends most of his time questioning the vaccine, despite being vaccinated, because it's what his audience wants. Because, and I don't know if you know this, Tucker Carlson is a lying grifter with a ton of blood on his hands. He says he tries not to lie, despite his entire career being built on a lie, and the rest of his career being made of many lies. He says punching down on vulnerable people is the worst thing a person can do while spending hours demonizing homeless people. Also, you know, all the vaccine stuff. He should face consequences, and by no means should we feel empathy for people like him. People using their substantial platform to spin stone-faced lies that will result in the deaths of anyone who listens. To put this in, like, really low bar terms, even Ben Shapiro has told his audience to get vaccinated, albeit among a bunch of other bullshit that undermines it. But folks like Tucker are just about as low as you can get, and exposing them might be a way to convince those at Tier 1 to perhaps change their mind. And our final tier, Tier 3, might seem less directly insidious as the former, but really gets to the root of the problem. The reason we're all in this situation.
The vaccine changes your RNA, so for me, that's a problem. So I'm here with you folks. We don't want to have the vaccine. It's about our freedom and liberty. It's not about the vaccine. They're taking away our freedom and liberty little by little. They're using the vaccine for cover.
This is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stupidly standing next to a man claiming that the vaccine alters your RNA, a thing that isn't true. Ron doesn't correct him, and in fact, that event was specifically organized to combat Biden's vaccine mandate. So Ron just stands there, hoping to Christ that no one asks him any direct questions, because Ron DeSantis, along with being a lot of things, is a coward, much like how a lot of high-level GOP politicians are cowards, specifically, but not exclusively, when it comes to talking about getting the vaccine. Why? Because they know that the moment they support it, which they do, their base, the people fueled by blatant liars like Tucker Carlson, will turn on them. This is the monster the GOP has created. No more evident than this clip of Donald Trump himself getting booed for supporting the vaccine.
And it's great. And you know what? I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. Bree, you got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms.
You got your freedoms, says the desperate loser former president man. This sweaty, no-need dummy, hoping to not be torn apart by a mob of his own conception. A party that sought out and courted the chunk of America extremely susceptible to conspiracy theories and misinformation, having to watch as their base walks directly into a wood chipper that they created. It's so easy for people on the left to want to celebrate this, but the people getting hurt aren't the people who caused this. And the people who caused this are still very much in positions of power. And this monster was created by all of us. Decades of media mistrust, actual government f***ery, not taking care of our citizens, a ridiculous failure to regulate social media, lies from the government and media alike. Multiple presidents, an entire country that doesn't understand that in order to avoid a problem, you have to think beyond yourself. Even now, we're finding that our inability or, lack of interest in sharing the vaccine with the world will likely come back and bite us on the ass. No, God, just stop being horny for one fucking second. It's our monster, folks. Much like how that 2021 version of me was my monster. A manifestation of all the distrust and anger that everyone feels when a system simply isn't working. It's funny how, on both sides of this conversation, you'll often see politicians casually telling people to consult their doctor about the vaccine. And what's specifically funny about that is how since 2002, a substantial number of Americans don't actually have a primary care physician anymore. But I'm guessing that most politicians don't even realize that. It doesn't even occur to them that perhaps there's a connection with people struggling for things like health insurance and not having a doctor they trust, and the response to this pandemic. And so the easiest way to combat all of this is, quite frankly, to work to better the system for everyone. Better healthcare, income and wealth equality for everyone. It's not complicated, and it really shouldn't be partisan. Also, maybe there's something to this cocaine. I feel great. We should really start prescribing this again. Why aren't we prescribing this again? Guys, we should rent a cabin. Maybe we should get together and really hammer out this America stuff, Learn how to survive in the wilderness, build a fire from nothing, catch fish, do cocaine, learn to shoot bows and arrows, lift weights. Oh my God, okay, so we're gonna learn how to make crossword puzzles. We're gonna build a fort, booby trap a house, make furniture, learn pottery, do an escape room. Oh, paint! We should paint, debate video games, play video games, write a...
Hey, what the f*** is up?
Ah! You're back. How are you back? We merged.
Sounds fucking weird, man, but I don't know what kind of sick jazz you're spinning. I'm you from 2022. I'm from a timeline where you got super addicted to cocaine and your life got really sad and awesome.
Okay, well, the episode's kind of over. I was hoping to, go do something else. So, you're here to what? Get me on the right track?
I'm here to ask you if you have any cocaine.
Okay, hanging up.
So no?
I guess future Cocaine Cody will return in a later video. You can all look forward to that. I was the imposter, by the way. I was not emptying the trash. Okay, bye. Hey, news pubes! I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. Thanks for watching the video. And make sure to like and subscribe and do all the things. We've got a podcast called Even More News, where all the podcasts are that you can find. And we've got a merch if you like Warmbo or some other junk. And patreon.com/somemore-news. And if you want me to keep talking, then you're out of luck.